And this is me again, wearing one of my vests, my ACU vest. Gonna do a Watership down. And before any of you guys bitch at me, yes, I am allowed to wear these two patches. I do have orders for them for my deployments, so don't get stupid, okay? And don't be screaming about stolen valor or anything. This is Watership Down, paraphrased by me, and adult commentary, because more than likely I'll be cursing through this damn thing. So, we are now on chapter 23, part 2, Kihar. Now, we're going to pick up where we left off on the last video, okay? Alright, anyway. The astonished rabbits obeyed him. Grumbling, Hazel's authority was put somewhat to a test, but held firm with the support of Bigwig. Although he had no idea what Hazel had in mind, Bigwig was fascinated by the strength and courage of the bird, and already accepted the idea of taking it in, without troubling himself about reason. He led the digging while Hazel explained to the bird, as well as he could, how they lived, their ways of protecting themselves from the enemies, and the kind of shelter they would provide. The amount of food the rabbits produced is not very large, but once inside the wood, the bird clearly felt safer, was able to hobble about and do some foraging for himself, or itself. Kiar. It, him, her, don't know. By owl time, Bigwig and his helpers had scratched out a kind of lobby inside the entrance to one of the runs leading down from the wood. They lined the floor with branches, twigs, leaves, and as darkness fell, the bird was installed. It was still suspicious, but seemed to be in a good deal of pain. Evidently, since it could not think of any better plan for itself, it was ready to try out a rabbit hole to save its life. From outside, they could see the dark head alert in the gloom, the black eyes still watchful. It was not asleep when they themselves finished late-night souffle and went underground. Black-headed gills, or Greg Gar, or yes, whatever that friggin' means, okay? I don't know nothing about birds other than they fly and they shit on everything, okay? So, I don't know. You know what they say, the only two things that fall from the sky, bird shit and parachutes. Anyway, they live in colonies where they forage to feed, chatter, and fight all day long. You fight? Solitude and recrescence are unnatural to them. They move southward in the breeding season, and at such times, a wounded one is only too likely to find himself deserted. They shouldn't be gulls, they should be blue falcons. Real buddy fuckers. The gull's savagery and suspicion was partly due to the pain and partly to the unnerving knowledge that it has no companions and could not fly. By the following morning, its natural instincts to mix with a flock and to talk was beginning to return. Bigwig made himself its companion. He would not hear of the gull going out to forage. By 9/5, the rabbits had managed to produce as much as it could eat for a time, at all events, and were able to sleep through the heat of the day. Bigwig, however, remained with the gull, making no secret of his admiration, talking and listening to it for several hours. And at the evening feed, he joined Hazel and Holly near the bank where Bluebell had told his story of Al-Raw. "How's the bird now?" asked Hazel. "A good deal better, I think," replied Bigwig. "He's very tough, you know. My goodness, what a life he's had. You don't know what you're missing. I could sit and listen to him all day. How was it hurt? A cat jumped on him in the farmyard. He never heard it until the last moment, and tore muscles of one of his wings, but he apparently gave it something to remember before he made off. And then he got himself up here somehow or another and just collapsed. Think of standing up to a cat. I can see now that I haven't really started yet. Why shouldn't a rabbit stand up to a cat? Let's just suppose. But what of this bird? Interrupted Holly. Well, I can't quite make it out, answered Bigwig. But if I do understand him properly, and I'm not sure all that I do, he says he comes from where there are thousands of his kind. More than we can possibly imagine. Their flocks make the whole air white. And into breeding season, their nests are like leaves in a wood. So he says. But where? I've never seen one even. He says, said Bigwig, looking straight at Holly, he says that a long way from here the earth stops and there isn't any more. Well, obviously it stops somewhere. What is there beyond? Water. A river, you mean? No, said Bigwig, not a river. He says there's a vast place of water going on and on. You can't see it to the other side. There isn't another side. At least there is. Because he's been there. Oh, I don't know. I must admit I can't altogether understand it. Well, is it telling you that it's been from outside the world and coming back again? That must be untrue. I don't know, said Bigwig, but I'm sure he's not lying. This water apparently moves all the time and keeps breaking against the earth. And when he can't hear it, he misses it. That's his name, Kihar, the noise the water makes. The others were impressed and spiked themselves. Well, why is it here? Asked Hazel. He shouldn't be. He ought to be off to this big water place long time ago to breed. Apparently a lot of them come away in winter, and when it gets so cold and wild, then they go back in the summer. But he's been hurt once already this spring, and there's nothing much but to hold him up. He's rested and hung around the rookery for a bit, and then he got stronger and then left. He was coming along when he stopped in the farmyard and met that foul cat. So it's better it'll go off again, said Hazel. Yes. So we've been wasting our time then. Why, Hazel? What do you have in mind? Go and get blackberry and fiber. We better have silver too. I'll explain. The quiet of the evening souffle when the western sun shines straight through the ridge. The grass trots through shadows twice as long as themselves, and the cool air smelled of thyme and dog roses. Never heard of a fucking dog rose. Okay. And something which they all came to enjoy even more than the former evenings in the meadows of Sandalford. Although they could not know it, the down was more lonelier than it had been for hundreds of years. There are no sheep, no villagers from King's Chair or Sidemonton. No longer has any occasion to walk over the hills, either for business or pleasure. In the fields of Saddleform, the rabbits had seen men almost every day. Here, since their arrival, they have seen one, and him on a horse. Looking around to the little group that gathered in the grass, Hazel saw all of them, even Holly, looking stronger, sleeker, and better shape than they was when they first came to the down. Whatever might lie ahead, at least he could feel that he had not failed them so far. Okay, this guy, he wants to be a cheap rabbit. Real bad. We're doing well here, he began. So it seems to me. We are certainly not a bunch of Haleso anymore. But all the same, there's something on my mind. And I'm surprised, as a matter of fact, that I should be the first one of us to start thinking about. Unless we can find the answer, the warren is good as finished, in spite of all we've done. Really? What kaput? Kaput schnell? Why? How can that be, Hazel? Said Bigwig. Do you remember Nigel Hayne? Asked Hazel. She stopped running, Porn Strawberry. I know. And we have no does. Not one. No does means no kittens, and a few years, no warren. That's right! This child book saying we need women. We need females. Gotta have them. They're the ones that holds the power. The women. The females. They hold all the power. Get through it, guys. Men, males, alpha males, beta males, Charlie males, guys that don't get none, guys that wish they can get some. The women hold the power. And as of right now in Watership Down, they got no women. And they know for a fact they hold the power. And we're just suckers. It may seem incredible that the rabbits had given no thought to so vital a matter. But men have made the same mistake more than once. Let the whole business out of account and have been content to trust to luck and the fortunes of war. Rabbits live close to death. And when death comes closer than usual, thinking about survival leaves little room for anything else. But now, in the evening sunshine on the friendly, empty down, with the good burrow at his back and the grass turning into pellets in his belly, Hazel knew he was lonely for a doe. And the others were silent, and he can tell that his words had sunk in. Seems like old Hazel want to get on down, baby. Let's put this friggin' bimbo on the buying bus. Anyway, let's get on with it. The rabbits gazed or lay basking in the sun. A lark went twittering up the brighter sunshine above, soared and sang and came down slowly, ending with its sideways, spread wing glide and wagtails run through the grass. The sun dipped lower. At last, Blackberry said, "What is to be done? Set out again?" "I hope not," says Hazel. "It all depends. What I'd like to do is to get a hold of some does and bring them here." Ooh. "From where?" "Another warren." "But there any on the hills." "How do we find out? The wind never brings the smell of rabbits." "I will tell you how," says Hazel. "The bird the bird will go and search for us. It's pretty friggin' smart for a friggin' bunny rabbit, huh? Hazel-raw, cried Blackberry. What a marvelous idea! That bird could find out in a day that we couldn't discover ourselves in 1,000. But here you are certain it can be persuaded to do it. As soon as that gets better, it'll simply fly away and leave us. I can't tell, answered Hazel. All we need to do is to beat it and hope for the best. But, Bigwig, since you seem to be getting along with it so well, perhaps you could explain to it how much this means to us. If only he flies over the downs and let us know what he sees. How many more goddamn pages? God dang, this thing is long. This is going to have to be a part 2. Guys, you leave it to me, said Bigwig. I think I know how to do it. Hazel's anxiety and reasons for it were soon known to all rabbits, and there was not a one who did not realize what they were up against. He's simply the one, as a chief rabbit ought to be, through whom a strong feeling latent throughout the warren had come to surface. But his plan is to make use of the gull excited everyone, and it was seen upon something that even Blackberry could have hit upon. Reconnaissance is familiar to all rabbits. Indeed, it's a second nature. But the idea of make use of a bird, and one so strange and savage, convinced him that Hazel, if he could really do it, must be as clever as Eleanor himself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is, going to mark it right here, part 2. I'm going to have to turn around and do a part 3 because this damn phone sucks. And the damn computer doesn't read it. New phone, it doesn't read it. Anyway, that's Watership down, hua. So we are going to download this thing and do it for adult commentary and all that other sweet stuff. And yes, this is pretty damn good, huh? Let's get in the back. I say, oh gosh. And anything else? All right, there we go. We're going to go on to number 3. Hua.